Son of a bitch. This is how I felt when he didn't arrest Hillary Rodham Clinton.
She was
so goddamn annoying to me because he just kept saying, lock her up. And then he came into office and he didn't lock her up. That was so lame, dude. And obviously, like, MAGA did not punish him for that, right? They should have, but they didn't. I believed him. That's why I voted for him illegally numerous times, okay? I was like, oh, he said, lock her up. And I want that. I'm going to give you the details. Dancing Hare, formerly Lady Ghislaine and Lady Mona Kay, is a super yacht built by Amos in 1986. Okay? It was built for Ahmad Khashoggi. It was then purchased also in 1986 by Robert Maxwell, who died by drowning whilst cruising on the yacht off the Canary Islands under suspicious circumstances. Okay? Now, he's like, oh, I'm going to release the Epstein files. Release it. I will release it. Now he's not releasing it. It's fucking bullshit.
the one that was really hands-on running the network. But he was also
How Ghislaine Maxwell helped build Epstein's network. Oh, God, this is Sean Ryan, who literally...
Let's talk about Maxwell. How did she play into everything? What was her role?
Well, she was the one that was really hands-on running the network, the logistics person. I interviewed an Israeli spy, Ari Ben Menashe, on my podcast. And, you know, he's a spy. It's difficult to know if he's telling the truth or not. But, okay, so her father, Robert Maxwell, had a publishing empire, but he was also a spy for Israel and...
Okay, this part is correct, though. Like, Robert Maxwell used to be with the OSS and very famously also worked alongside the CIA and MI6, like British intelligence, and most notably, the Mossad. So that part is not wrong. This is correct.
Russia and the UK and probably the US. And he had this huge publishing empire. And what he did was he went into the retirement funds.
Yeah, I saw this.
His employees and stole them all.
So Maxwell's dad was an Israeli spy.
Yes.
This is just like, this is them trying to do damage control, I think. Dan is in a positive mood. Also, God, it's so bitch made. What do you mean positive mood? Like, who gives a fuck what Dan Bongino's personal attitude is? Like, why am I supposed to care about this? Put the Epstein files in the bag. Okay? You're a fucking public servant. I don't give a shit about how sad you are. What the fuck is this pussy ass bullshit? Why is everyone like this now? Everyone's like, oh, I'm so weepy. I'm so sad. Oh, no, no one will trust me in my podcasting business any longer. Like, I don't care, man. Just fucking release the goddamn files, dude. What the fuck is this? Put the files in the bag, little bro.
Who was running logistics for Jeffrey Epstein.
No. So he was a spy for sure. And then he had a huge publishing empire.
But his daughter
and
was running logistics for Jeffrey
Epstein, yes.
Who has been named by government officials that he's untouchable because he's in intelligence.
Yes.
So there's a line
There's
right
a nexus
there.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, who was the government official? Oh, that's right. At the time, the government official was the South Florida prosecutor, Alexander Acosta. You might actually know that name if you paid attention to the Trump administration the first time around, because he became the Trump Labor Secretary, Alexander Acosta. That's right. He is the one who said, this is a secondhand account of his, that Jeffrey Epstein had belonged to intelligence. He also has not really said anything else since then. He just kind of resigned after the Jeffrey Epstein stuff popped off.
And Maxwell had a yacht called Lady Ghislaine, which was named after his daughter, Ghislaine, who was his favorite child. And
that yacht, I think that yacht was also That yacht was later purchased by another spook, possible government stooge, who was assassinated by the Saudi state, Jamal Khashoggi.
He jumped off one day, and he had a very mysterious death, much like Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the cover story on it is that, I mean, because it did come out that he'd ripped off all these, the retirement funds of all these employees. I mean, millions of dollars. I mean, he destroyed all these people. I mean, a guy obviously didn't have a conscience. And Ghislaine Maxwell supposedly...
Oh, sorry, that was his dad, Adnan Khashoggi, Jamal Khashoggi's dad, Adnan Khashoggi, owned the yacht afterwards.
Then came to New York to get away from it. And then that's where she met Jeffrey Epstein. Now, according to this Israeli spy that I interviewed, Maxwell put, Robert Maxwell put Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein together. And they were together even before he died, before his mysterious death. Some people think it's suicide, some people think it's homicide. I mean, it's a very strange death. So somehow Maxwell and Epstein got together. And the story is that Epstein had the money and Maxwell had the connections. And I think that there's some truth there.
And this guy was a spy for the Israelis, the UK, and possibly the US, and I believe you named another one.
And possibly Russia, yeah.
And do all these countries...
Sorry.
And the reason being this idea that there's a deep state, right? That there's government coordinating with billionaires to cover things up. That has been a huge part of the MAGA base's messaging and beliefs for so many years, predating this term. I don't think Donald Trump is just going to be able to sweep this under the rug. I do think eventually it'll pass and we'll move on to some other conspiracy. But in the meantime, this is what's hot in MAGAverse right now, and it's very bad for Pam Bondi.
Is there other red meat that they can be thrown? Meaning, do you think there's going to be another controversy that will appear this week?
Well, I think it will be interesting to see, does it ever, metastasize past her and move to Trump, because he gets very angry when the word Epstein is spoken now. Does it move?
And you heard that person even saying, well...
Which is why it's a perfect opportunity to consistently bring this up. For all of the reporters out there, this is a wonderful opportunity for many of you. Also, here it is. Libs of TikTok finally commented about Epstein and totally left out Trump. She knows he did it. Libs of TikTok says, breaking, Ghislaine Maxwell offers to testify before Congress on Epstein's sex trafficking scheme. Maxwell was convicted in 2022 for child sex trafficking charges and is currently serving 20 years in prison. She was the only person to be convicted of charges related to Epstein's sex trafficking scheme.
Now, Kennedy.
Yeah, Trump says he will release the Epstein client list if elected. The Democrat elites are shaking right now, says Libs of TikTok.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, endangers certain people.
Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un has never been to Epstein Island. Another major W for Jusha. It's true. It is true. That's right.
Et cetera. So Kennedy is very different.
Yeah, notice how he very quickly flips it off to Kennedy to talk about how, you know, that happened a long time ago, but we can release that one because it happened a long time ago.
Different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Yeah, that was a fucking lie, I guess. So that there is no way that he could like potentially testify. You know what I mean? Yeah. Julie Brown and her investigations led to the resurfacing of all this like Jeffrey Epstein stuff. She wrote a piece in the Miami Herald. So what ultimately going to happen if the Epstein issue doesn't go away? How does it get addressed? Or will we collectively grow tired of no progress on this front? I think people will still keep talking about it.
taking as much heat when, yes, they've been pointing to those comments by Pam Bondi, but in many ways, Pam Bondi is trying to contain a political sort of firestorm that Bongino also ignited through his podcast, talking about the Epstein files as well during the campaign as well. And now you have him in actually a law enforcement position in government, now seeing the result of fanning the flames of a conspiracy. Now you have the backlash that comes with trying to assert reality to this base.
Let me just play really quickly. Our Donnie O'Sullivan was in Tampa, and he started asking around, and here's what people told him.
I don't think people are going to be quiet about it until they really do it. But who knows if we'll ever know the true story.
Well, I think that if they don't release the Epstein files, whatever J.D. Vance says then is irrelevant, because it's like everybody's going to take it as like a lie because of what Donald Trump did.
And you also had General Mike Flynn tweeting out, please understand the Epstein affair is not going away.
Look, if your entire movement is based on telling people that the government is lying to them about just about everything, you're never going to be able to convince them that suddenly the government is telling the truth. And we've kind of gone behind the curtain here where, if you now run things, it becomes difficult to say, you know what, believe us, oops.
Is this a test for the president? Meaning, most of the time he can say, like with the Iran strikes, no, okay, this is what I say it is. Is that going to happen here?
No, the groundswell is too big. People really want accountability here.
Links to the Mossad and Israel that Democrats can't do anything about that either. What are they going to do? Out Bill Gates?
And I think that I'm parsing her language here, but it just feels like she's really taking the heat here. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino are kind of not as much.
Well, okay, just on the review it language, the way she made it sound in that statement was that I'm going to get to the accountability here. Even if she didn't explicitly say, okay, there's something in these documents that you needed to see, she sort of implied it. And so I think that's why you have the whole MAGA universe coming after her for this.
It is interesting that Bongino, though, seems to not be.
What do you mean? One thing I'm still confused about is if it's a CIA Mossad operation, why allow Epstein to get arrested? The Miami reporter brought it back into the forefront with her investigative reporting. And then at that point, it's better for the government to take action, open a case, and then basically seize all of his assets and terminate him so that there is no...
The Carl Seraphin, I got him reports myself from people, but he also had his reports and some public reports of major talk show hosts, influencers getting calls saying your access can be cut off at the White House, Susie Wall stuff, if you don't stop, and the FBI calling people. Well, that's a cover-up. So we don't want to be aiding the Democrats here, but we're not in a cult like Democrats that go along with corruption. So here's Benny Johnson. I'll post it in this, under it. Here is Beck. Benny Johnson keeping his soul, Beck keeping his soul. And I'm not saying Charlie Kirk's losing his soul here, but I'm not going to question my friends. I mean, if my wife didn't show up for 2 days and just showed back up at the house, I'd say, where you been? If I had a business partner I'd known for 20 years, a great person, all of a sudden a bunch of money's messing up, I'd say, you know where the money is. I mean, when people start telling you don't ask questions, you got a problem. Remember all the New York Times articles and Washington Post articles? Asking questions is bad. Doing your own research is bad. No, it's good. So I don't want to be focused on this. But everything Trump and them have done the last few months with Bongino and them, like during the headlights on that Fox interview, has triggered all this. And I said, if you want it to go away or you don't think you can prosecute people or it's a national security issue, I'm not defending that, but I understand that. Just shut up. Shut up. Instead, Trump, hey, I've done a great job. True Social, leave it alone, drop it. They're going to have congressional hearings now. They're coming after you. I've never seen such a self-inflicted wound. So Benny Johnson nails it. Glenn Beck nails it. And Charlie Kirk, I'm just not going to question my friends. And I understand that thought process. I don't agree with it. But, hey, Trump's doing so much good. We've seen him try to...
Alex Jones trying to desperately defend Trump while simultaneously imply that he probably had sex, he probably raped children, and therefore under Mossad supervision is so funny. because you're basically saying the worst thing about Donald Trump. You're taking the long road into saying Donald Trump is involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, you're trying to say he's not involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and then literally saying he was absolutely involved with Jeffrey Epstein. This makes no sense. How can you arrive at this position where you're like supposed to be the moral compass, the North Star of leading conservative conspiracy theorists? Okay, well, and you have this approach to the subject matter where you keep saying Jeffrey Epstein is not involved with Donald Trump in any way, except for the fact that the Mossad might have captured Trump on video and has blackmail on him, which is causing this kind of division to take place. What is this? Don Winslow. Dear Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Cash, and Dan Bongino, I want to introduce you to yourselves. MAGA is watching. God is watching you. Hashtag Epstein cover up.
Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
This isn't about Epstein or 9/11 or JFK or RFK. It is, but it isn't. It's about a bigger thing. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes, folks? Who's on those tapes? Who's in?
Yeah, it turns out we looked at the tapes and we didn't like who was on it. Actually, no one's on the Epstein tapes. They don't exist. Excuse me. You're a freak. You're a freak for even assuming that. You're a freak for wanting to know who was on the Epstein list. Okay, you must want to look at CSAM.
Those black books. Why have they been hiding it?
And this is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. Everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
Ghislaine Maxwell is going to get out of jail if the Epstein files don't exist. She shouldn't be in jail. She's going to get another trial. No, the answer to that is that Ghislaine was helping sex traffic people just for Jeffrey Epstein alone. That's what they will claim. No, are you letting her out? Okay, close it. Let her out and then close the door. Close the door. All right, because I'm streaming. Trump used to wish her well because how do you know she's guilty? Yeah, this was so crazy. This was such a crazy moment. Remember this interview was such a banger, dude. It's one of my favorite interviews of all time of Donald Trump, the Axios one.
A reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
First of all, I don't know that, but I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested for that.
Her
you know that.
friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot.
Her friend is in jail and then commits suicide. Her boyfriend is so sad. It's so sad. Who wouldn't feel sad about that? Bro, wait, hold up. We got to run it back. Dude, listen to
allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person
first of all,
well?
I don't know that, but I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested for that.
Her
you know that.
friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now.
By the way, This was under his watch. He says either killed or committed suicide in jail. Your jail. It was a federal prison. At this point, he was still president, and it had happened not that long before this interview was conducted. It happened under his watch.
In jail. Yeah, I wish you well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean, she's a alleged child sex trafficker.
Big deal. But all it is.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. Trump, when there's a random like construction worker that has maybe a little bit too much melanin, killed a person. He's a rapist, MS-13 gang member. They're barbaric. They're brutal. Every single person that's Mexican has actually raped every white woman in America. Trump, when it's an international pedophile sex trafficker, possibly a member of the intelligence community, I wish her well. She was such a darling. She's such a great cocktail guest. I love it. I love her. I think she's so beautiful, and so is Jeffrey Epstein. What a guy. What a guy. What a guy. I wish her well. I wish him well. I wish everybody well. We don't know if she's guilty or innocent.
Her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
One of the best interviews ever conducted, straight up, where Jonathan Swan isn't even like trying that hard. What is this? Beitar is not taking the Superman well. I am a man boiling with rage. Yesterday, I went with my son to watch a new Superman movie. Superman, the ultimate superhero, a character created by two Jewish immigrants, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, in the 1930s. A character is supposed to represent hope, justice, and light. The actor playing Superman, Jewish. The studio, owned by Jews. Even the character of Superman himself, symbolically and historically, is considered to have Jewish roots, a refugee sent from crisis and war to save a better world, created to empower the Jews who returned from the Holocaust. And what did the pathetic progressives in Hollywood do? They trampled all over this. Instead of presenting a character who defends the weak and fights for justice, they turned into a disgusting political caricature where Israel, under a different name, is portrayed as a fascist state, a warmonger, and a close ally to the U.S., which sounds a lot like Israel to me, which supplies advanced weaponry to fight poor and miserable farmers, the good Palestinians, with pitchforks and stones. Again, quite similar to the reality that is unfolding. By the way, the Forbes wrote an article on this as well, by the way, and they put me in the headline. Whether Superman, DC's new blockbuster, made a splash at the box office this weekend serves a metaphor for Middle East unrest as animated political figures on the right and left, from Ben Shapiro to Hassan Piker, despite the director denying any direct reference. Yeah. U.S. envoy Tom Barak defended Syria's new ruler al-Sharaa, comparing him to George Washington after a Lebanese journalist questioned his rise to power. Oh my God! You already know when a right wing government considers a Muslim group to be similar to the to the founding fathers. Let me tell you, folks. When that happens, you already know what's about to take place, okay? That's exactly what happened with the Mujahideen. Anyway, let's get back to the story at hand here with Jeffrey Jedediah Epstein and the drama
by President Trump.
But in a big reversal, the DOJ and FBI have now announced the end of their investigation. writing that a review found, quote, no incriminating client list and, quote, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed anyone, and confirming that he had died by suicide. As for that so-called client list,
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
for years, many Trump allies, including his now FBI Director Kash Patel, pushed for the release of the government files on the Epstein case, insisting they would implicate prominent Americans in a sinister plot. Here's what MAGA star Dan Bongino, now the Deputy FBI Director, said in 2019.
The questions surrounding this alleged suicide are numerous and are worth entertaining and worth getting to the bottom of quickly.
According to multiple sources, Bongino had a heated argument with Bondi at the White House last week and has told friends he may resign. Last night, Trump said he thinks Bongino is still on the job.
Is Dan Bongino still your deputy FBI director? Have you spoken to him?
I think so. I did. I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
In his Truth Social post expressing support for Pam Bondi, Trump said that people should not waste time and energy talking about Jeffrey Epstein. But George, judging from the response to that post, it appears that many of his own supporters are not ready to take that advice.
Yeah, this does not seem to be going away. Okay, John, thanks very much.
Many people, including me.
We already watched this.
You got Bondi, you got Patel, you got Barr. All of these people work for Trump, okay? So if they're covering up for somebody, who do you think they might be covering up for?
So you think they're covering up for President Trump?
People look at all of us. Everybody is looking at little pieces of this and coming up with kind of theories. But people really take the time, because there's a lot of facts, there's a lot of information. People who take the time and really investigate this thoroughly all come to the pretty much conclusion that maybe Trump was behind this.
Wow.
Maybe Jeff was killed to quiet him.
You think President Trump has something to do with Epstein, with your brother being killed?
Someone said sus last name. Dog, that's his brother. Mark Epstein is Jeffrey Epstein's brother, chatter.
I wouldn't write that off. Because if you look at all of the evidence we have and all of the facts, not opinions.
Also, he does sound like Norm Finkelstein, but just like Norm Finkelstein on 2x speed.
The facts, that wouldn't be something I would dismiss.
I mean, that's an extraordinary thing to say, but there is zero evidence that Donald Trump had anything to do with your brother's death.
Well, somebody did.
Release the Epstein files. That is the demand coming from the top House Democrat.
Dude, my suspicion is the reason why they can get away with saying shit like this, like the Democrats, I mean, despite the fact that at a certain point they also were in charge of the Epstein files and didn't do shit, is because they know that the Trump administration will never do it. So ironically enough, now they're playing the same role that like Dan Bongino and the Trump and the Republicans did. When Democrats were in charge, they were like, oh, release the Epstein files, knowing full well that like whoever came after would never release them. So now it's like a game of chicken, okay? Democrats are not in charge. They know for a fact that the Trump administration will not fucking release the files. So now they're saying release the Epstein files. Because both parties have people, prominent figures in both parties that are involved with the Epstein files. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says emails with Elon Musk are too intimate and embarrassing to make public. Wait, what? Were they fucking? What the hell is this? God damn. They're doing damage control now. Important. I just confirmed that Dan Bongino was in his FBI office at work today and is working on something very important. Dan was in a positive mood. Charlie Kirk, seeing eye emoji. Now this might be good enough for a lot of the Republicans to get back on the this administration is not hiding the truth train. It's not good enough for me because they already played. They're trying to play damage control now, but the past week has shown that these guys abso-fucking-lutely what is this? And we'll look at the Abbott files in a second. But the past week has shown, why do people think you're a terrorist? Easy question, easy answer. My name is Hassan, and I do not unconditionally support America and Israel, and contextualize oftentimes why there are groups out there that resist militarily against American and Israeli violence. That's it. I could have just stopped there, though. My name is Hassan. Thank you for your answer. Yeah. Yeah, it's the name and nothing else. You're cooked. I mean, let's be real. If my name was fucking Hank, I wouldn't be getting this ass blasted. There are plenty of white, red-blooded Americans who arrive at similar conclusions, understandably, and talk about it in an academic context or talk about it in the realm of journalism. Jeremy Scahill is a great example of this. Ain't nobody calling him a terrorist. Why is nobody calling Jeremy Scahill of Dropsite a terrorist? Perhaps it's because his name is Jeremy Scahill. You know what I mean? Ryan Grimm, another example. Tucker Carlson, for fuck's sake. Michael from Pennsylvania. Also, to be fair, Felix Biederman, Brace Belden, Noah Colwyn, there are numerous people like this. And even if they were to be called terrorists, it doesn't hit the same. They'll just say that they're like a terrorist supporter at most. Who is actively calling you a terrorist? My former podcast co-host. Numerous Israel advocacy groups. Virtually everyone that watches Asmongold, Sex Pestiny, you know, among many others. The entire cadre of slop tubers online. Yeah. It's not. No, it's not. It's not my